What's up, guys? Welcome back to Weekly Weird News.
2016's been a rough year. Yeah, in many ways. On the bright side, though, people in several states, including ours, across the nation, will soon be able to numb their senses to everything thanks to marijuana legalization. But if that's not going to be strong enough for you, and you wish you could just drown all this out with something much more potent, much more highly illegal, and much more psychoactive, you may be in luck too.
Ooh, goody.
Just not right away. And there are some pretty serious stipulations. Recently, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the first ever phase 3 clinical trials of a new drug to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It's called methylene dioxymethamphetamine, or MDMA.
Ooh.
But it's better known by its more casual names, Ecstasy and Molly.
Nice. Yeah, that's right. A drug most commonly associated with the electronic dance music rave scene may soon be available as a prescription drug prescribed by psychiatrists for PTSD.
Woo!
Phase 3 clinical trials are the last phase of testing before the FDA decides whether a drug is safe for doctors to prescribe. So if trials conclude that MDMA is actually effective at treating PTSD, Ecstasy could be available as a prescription drug as soon as 2021.
Just gotta live that long.
Well, who knows anymore. Now, if this sounds absolutely crazy to you, you should understand that before Ecstasy became the party drug of choice in the 1980s, it was actually already being used in psychotherapy.
Yeah, well, before that even, it was like many drugs created for a completely different purpose. In 1912, some German chemists created MDMA as a substance to stop abnormal bleeding, but it floated under the radar for several decades before American chemist Alexander Shulgin discovered its psychoactive effects, using it himself for relaxation and giving it to all of his friends for the same purpose.
Am I still bleeding abnormally? I don't know, because I feel great.
I feel great. One of those friends that he gave it to was psychotherapist Leo Zeff, who had already been using LSD in therapy sessions starting in the early 1960s. Zeff soon began using MDMA in therapy sessions, referring to it as Adam because he believed that it returned patients to a state of primordial innocence.
Now, Zeff popularized the use of MDMA in psychotherapy to thousands of other psychotherapists who administered it to patients in therapy sessions and believed that it allowed patients to communicate more effectively with increased empathy and reduced fear. It was said to be effective at treatment of depression, substance abuse, relationship problems, and autism, among other things.
We could sure use it.
But like with any prescription drug that makes you feel good, it of course eventually made its way onto the black market and became popular as a street drug, despite its fans in the psychotherapy community trying to stop this outcome by attempting to limit information about it.
So by the early 80s, MDMA was popping up as a party drug at nightclubs across the country, and getting the few chemists who knew how to manufacture it rich as fuck, especially once they decided on ecstasy as the slang name for it. And it was still totally legal, by the way. At the time, nightclubs would openly advertise ecstasy parties where you'd come, buy some E, and then dance your ass off. Probably feel people's faces and pass them to touch your head. Cocaine was still huge at the time, but many cocaine dealers switched to selling ecstasy as soon as they saw how well it was taking off. So, of course, in 1985, the DEA classified MDMA as a Schedule I controlled substance alongside heroin, cocaine, LSD, and the most dangerous drug of all, marijuana.
It kills. I seen that movie Reefer Madness, and I tell you what, it does do that. The psychiatric community that supported MDMA's use in therapy, they of course opposed this, and several expert witnesses testified to a judge about MDMA's practical medicinal uses, successfully convincing the judge to classify it as a Schedule III controlled substance, allowing it to continue to be used in a medical context. But the DEA, they were way smarter than all that. They ignored all this and just classified it as a Schedule I anyway. The DEA was then sued by Harvard psychiatrist Lester Grinspoon on the grounds that the DEA had ignored MDMA's medical uses, and the federal court agreed with him, removing MDMA's Schedule I status. But then the DEA, they again turned around and reclassified it as Schedule I. Because fuck doctors, I'm a cop.
I think I know a thing or two. Okay, Doc, you egghead.
Yeah.
So, thanks to the Schedule I classification, MDMA was no longer legal for psychiatrists to use in therapy sessions. But hey, on the bright side, making it illegal prevented ecstasy from becoming an extremely popular party drug that was easily available to users and highly lucrative for violent criminal organizations who don't give a rat's ass about drug purity and lace it with whatever household chemicals they have lying around. It would be terrible if that happened.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Whoops. In the meantime, though, a research and advocacy group called the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, or MAPS, was formed in the wake of the DEA's Schedule I classification and has spent a lot of money over the years funding studies of psychoactive drugs in a medical setting, helping to successfully raise awareness for medicinal uses of cannabis, and now funding the Phase 2 and upcoming Phase 3 clinical trials for MDMA as a treatment for PTSD.
Patients included in studies so far include combat veterans, sexual assault victims, and police and firefighters, and tests were conducted similarly to how MDMA had been originally used in the 1970s, administered in a therapy session under guidance of a doctor. After 3 such sessions, the patients reported on average a 56% decrease in the severity of their PTSD symptoms, with improvements lasting for more than a year for some patients. And some improving so much that they no longer met the criteria for even having PTSD. The reasons why are the same reasons as before. Dr. Michael C. Mithover, one of the psychiatrists involved in the study, he told the New York Times, quote, "We can sometimes see this kind of remarkable improvement in traditional psychotherapy, but it can take years if it happens at all. We think it works as a catalyst that speeds the natural healing process."
And there seems to be several examples of patients, particularly war veterans, who tried treating their PTSD with traditional therapy and traditional psychiatric drugs, and often self-medicating with alcohol, all to no avail.
Surprise.
Who saw a notable improvement in their symptoms after the MDMA drug trials. Of course, though, there are plenty of very valid concerns here about dependency. Patients who come to see MDMA as the solution to their PTSD may be more inclined to acquire it illegally to self-medicate themselves. So that's one of the biggest hurdles that the Phase 3 clinical trials will have to look at closely, but with PTSD among returning combat veterans so common these days, the benefits might just outweigh the risks.
Like the Tuesday blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blue Mondays.
Oh yeah, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it depends if you stayed up all night till Sunday and then kept going.
Yeah, I mean, you can do ecstasy on a Wednesday, you're gonna have a Blue Thursday.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Anyways, that's not all the drug talk we have for you this week. Maybe you're looking for something a little bit more cerebral, a little more psychedelic. Well, again, you may be in luck. If you're suffering from potentially fatal cancer, that is. Yeah, we know life isn't fair. Only the people in the most dire situations get the good stuff. It's terrible. But much like MDMA with PTSD patients, a recent study found that psilocybin, the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, has an extremely positive effect on the mental well-being of patients dealing with a cancer that has a high likelihood of killing them.
Yes, the findings come from 2 different studies, one at NYU and another at Johns Hopkins University. In the NYU study, sample groups of cancer patients were given either psilocybin or a placebo and then given 8 hours of talk therapy. Halfway through the study, after a few of those sessions, the groups were switched. The entire time, the study was double-blind, meaning neither the patients nor the therapists were told whether the patient had taken psilocybin or a placebo. All of the patients not only had advanced stage cancer, but were also dealing with what psychiatrists call existential distress, which is basically depression and anxiety related to fear of dying. Existential distress, by the way, in a cruel twist of irony, actually makes a patient's chances of surviving a serious illness significantly decrease. So solutions like this are very much needed for late-stage cancer patients with slim chances of survival.
And the study's results indicate that psilocybin is pretty effective at solving this problem. Around 80% of the patients reported feeling less anxious and depressed by the next day after taking psilocybin. They also showed signs of improvement even 6 months later. In the other study done at Johns Hopkins University, patients met with doctors in a room decorated to look like a living room and were instructed to lay down on a couch and listen to music wearing an eye mask, with doctors encouraging them to think about their inner experience. In one session, they would be given a normal dose of psilocybin, and in the next, they would be given a controlled dose too low to have any noticeable effect. Again, results showed that the psilocybin significantly reduced patients' stress, with 80% of the patients saying they still felt the benefits 6 months later, and more than half the patients saying that the experience was one of the top 5 most meaningful experiences of their lives.
Let them take drugs.
It certainly does make you...
You're probably gonna die. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that should be completely fine.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it definitely does make you feel like there is something else out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in the clouds, and it looks
like a cat.
Looks like a cat.
Yeah.
And
you feel warm and toasty, and
wallpaper is just dancing around every time you go to the bathroom, but don't look in the mirror.
You can stare at a tree stump for hours. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. So let him have it.
Yeah.
Not that I'd know anything about it.
I just heard, stories.
I read it online.
Yeah.
Speaking of drugs that can mean the difference between life and death for patients, though, the internet was awash recently with reports that a group of high school chemistry students in Australia had managed to create Daraprim for $2 a dose using widely available classroom chemicals. Daraprim, of course, being the drug that got Martin Shkreli famous last year when his company, Turing Pharmaceuticals, raised the price from $13.50 a pill to $750 per pill. It exposed some serious problems with the American pharmaceutical industry, but it also exposed what an attention-starved dweeb Martin Shkreli is. He seemed to relish the fact that he'd become the most hated man in America overnight, and to this day his online presence leans more towards basement-dwelling 4chan troll than gifted young millionaire.
So when media outlets started reporting on how a group of children had schooled Martin Shkreli by making his former company's expensive, elusive drug for dirt cheap using easily available chemicals, of course he wasn't gonna just let that slide. In true presidential fashion, he lashed out about it on Twitter, writing, quote, "These kids who made Daraprim reminds me of Ahmed who made the clock. Dumb journalists want a feel-good story." And then, "Labor and equipment costs? Didn't know you could get physical chemists to work for free. I should use high school kids to make my medicine." And, "I'm a grown-ass man and I want to introduce these kids to the concept that average ANDA takes 5 years and costs $5 million. So they have $4,999,980 to go."
He tweeted a bunch more about it, responding to several people by downplaying what the Aussie kids had accomplished, and then he took to Periscope, of course, to rant about it more in typical Shkreli fashion.
Live!
At some point, he also read off a much more carefully worded statement on YouTube where he congratulated the Australian kids on their interest in chemistry and then piggybacked off that to brag about his own achievements in chemistry from his younger days. None of this is surprising at all for Martin Shkreli at this point, and it all seemed to confirm that he's still as insecure and fame-hungry as ever.
Kids, you keep it up and you too could own a limited edition album and walk the streets of New York meeting up with 1 or 2 fans a day. But no, wait, hold on. We're actually gonna have to side with Shkreli on this one. To be fair, at least sort of, because the media narrative around the $2 Daraprim has been totally misguided, and Shkreli actually raises a lot of valid points in his rebuttal. The chemistry around creating substances like Daraprim is actually not expensive or difficult if you have the right tools and ingredients and knowledge. This is not news to anyone who knows the slightest thing about chemistry. What is difficult is manufacturing drugs on a large scale and funding the years of testing and research to bring it to market. The issue was never about whether or not Daraprim was easy to manufacture, it was about how it was priced and why.
Yeah, that's not to say these kids shouldn't be congratulated for being interested in chemistry or managing to do what they did.
Yeah.
Good job, Australian kids.
Yeah.
Just don't think of this as some sort of slap in the face to Martin Shkreli because it changes nothing and it takes the focus off of the actual reason he's so disliked. Focus more on the fact that the reason Turing Pharmaceuticals is the only company making Daraprim and is charging whatever the hell they want for it is because they've legally made it impossible for other companies to get samples of it to formulate a generic version that can be then sold for much cheaper. Focus more on the fact that the United States pharmaceutical industry allows for way more of these kinds of greedy practices than most other countries. And sure, while you're at it, you can also focus on the fact that Martin Shkreli is an annoying douchebag.
Yeah. But speaking of annoying douchebags, kangaroos!
Woo!
Over here we think they're cute and exotic, but over in Australia they're understood for what they really are. Giant asshole rats with pouches who will punch or kick you to death, and they won't even feel bad about it. No remorse.
None.
Now, recently the internet was reminded of this thanks to a clip that went viral showing an Australian man punching a kangaroo in the face after the kangaroo put his hunting dog in a headlock. We don't want to get sued, so that one stretched out second of the clip is all we're going to show you, but we'll put a link in the description down below, or you can head over to YouTube's very reliable trending tab, where it's probably down there somewhere below a bunch of movie trailers and carpool karaoke clips. He clocks him real good. And then this kangaroo's like, doesn't even understand what just happened.
Yeah.
Like, no one's rocked his shit before.
The guy's apparently 6'7" too.
And the kangaroo is
Yeah,
taller
that's a
than
big
him.
kangaroo.
He was like, he kind of like went down like this, so he was really loose on his feet. But at that point, the kangaroo was a little bit taller than him.
Yeah, they could fuck you
But
up.
I just love that he fucking clocked him. And at the same time, it didn't phase the kangaroo
Yeah, he was just like,
physically, but I think mentally he was like, what the fuck did you just
This
do? And then
never
the dude
happened.
got out of there before
Yeah.
the kangaroo could fight back. Because they'll get you. They're like raptors. They'll
Yeah.
cut you open.
But anyway, yeah, the clip's highly amusing. The guy squares up with the kangaroo like something straight out of a world star hip hop video. He punches it right in the fucking face while his friends are pleading with him to get the hell out of there. Let the situation
Don't do it.
go.
Don't do it. World star.
Do they have World Star down there?
Yeah, who
They
knows
should.
what it's called, yeah.
The kangaroo, of course, after getting punched, he then stands there stunned, trying to flex his muscles for intimidation.
Yeah.
But it's too late. He's already lost the fight, so he just runs away. Clearly doing just fine aside from his damaged ego. It's one of the most Australian things ever, and one of the few viral clips these days that's actually deserving of such a title. But uh-oh, he punched a wild animal in the face on a hunting trip, so it's time for the internet to band together to get this guy fired from his job.
Oh no. Well, sorry, internet. Not only does this guy get to keep his job, he gets to keep his job working at a goddamn zoo, where he has worked as an elephant keeper for the last 6 years. The Taronga Western Plains Zoo in New South Wales, which uses a pretty damn ethical seeming open range design using moats instead of fences, released a statement confirming that Greg Tonkins, which is a very Australian name,
Greg Tonkins.
would be keeping his job, saying Tonkins, quote, has always followed Taronga's best practice approach to animal care and welfare. They also said that they strongly oppose the striking of animals or the use of dogs in hunting. But again, Tonkins is actually apparently really good at his job, so you can count this as a victory for common sense against the internet outrage machine.
I mean, that kangaroo was gonna kill his dog.
Yeah.
I don't know what you expect him to do.
And possibly him as well.
Yeah. And he had a gun. He could have shot the fucking thing.
Yeah,
but he
just
didn't.
blocked him.
Yeah.
And he didn't even, his thongs didn't even fall off.
No, his pluggers.
Pluggers, yeah, his pluggers didn't even fall off. Also, if you want to see a great kangaroo fight, look up Woody Allen versus kangaroo.
Did he fight a kangaroo?
He got in the ring and boxed one.
Wow, did he marry it afterwards?
No, he didn't marry it, but
Oh.
yeah, I'm sure they had a great relationship for at least
Yeah.
one night.
Too old.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the second half of the show, where we look at the weirdest real headlines from non-bullshit news sources, let's give a quick shout out to this week's sponsor, Blue Apron, a company that we are both big fans of.
Yes.
Blue Apron makes cooking easy even for the most inexperienced chefs, and we'd know about that as well. They send you a weekly box with fresh, high-quality ingredients and recipes that are easy to follow. Over the last couple of months, Blue Apron has turned us from kitchen idiots into people who actually love getting home and cooking delicious meals for ourselves and our
love it.
significant others.
I get excited about it.
Yeah. I know the prep's kind of boring, but sizzling and
I don't know.
cooking.
I mean, my knife work has definitely improved after doing it. Like
I got a knife
throughout the
sharpener
week.
and everything was
Yeah,
way
it changes
better.
everything.
Yeah.
Especially with tomatoes. They're the devil. So yeah, it's a really satisfying feeling to eat a delicious restaurant quality meal that you yourself cooked, and it's also really satisfying knowing that Blue Apron sources their ingredients from local farms, fisheries, and ranchers whose ingredients are grown or raised sustainably, humanely, and naturally. And because Blue Apron ships only the exact amount of ingredients you'll need, you will be helping to cut down a lot on food waste. You'll also be cutting down on your food spending because unlike going out to restaurants or buying groceries at those high-end grocery stores, each Blue Apron meal comes out to less than $10.
A decent deal. Blue Apron's recipes are delicious and they're always changing, so you'll never get the same recipe twice in an entire year. Some of the meals available in December include roasted pork and braised cabbage with barley and glazed apples. Mwah. Thai green coconut curry with sweet potato and jasmine rice. Delicious. And brown butter and chestnut gnocchi with Brussels sprouts and pea shoot salad. It's tasty, it's fresh, it'll make you a better person. Go to blueapron.com/weekly to check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping as well. Again, that's blueapron.com/weekly, and that's a special link just for the viewers of this show. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. Blue Apron is a better way to cook. Get into it, and thank you for sponsoring the show. But let's get into our own next segment, the weirdest actual news headlines from this past week.
More than 1 million guests RSVP to girl's quinceañera in Mexico after dad's invite goes viral.
Whatever. It's like those no one's gonna show up. It's like the fake Facebook ones who are like, Smash Mouth is playing down at the local gas station. Everyone sign up.
But those are fake.
I know, but the people are just doing this as a joke.
Yeah, well, it's actually apparently, it's got the girl's family pretty on edge because they don't understand how the internet works.
Yeah.
And they're like, when it first started, it became like a joke on Facebook and shit. And the dad was like, "No, please, like you must not have understand it correctly. Like it's actually just a family quinceañera."
Yeah.
And that immediately triggered even more memes of like the pictures of like sinkholes. It's like, oh, here's Ruby's quinceañera, or like a picture of like a bus covered in people, like on our way to Ruby's quinceañera. The family's like, no.
Too. Yeah. Well, maybe she'll get to like donations for her.
Sure, she'll get brought on to whatever the Mexican version of Ellen is.
Oh yeah.
Have her home quinceañera.
Damn, Daniel, that's quite the quinceañera.
Yeah.
Oh. Edinburgh man with bionic penis inundated with date offers. It's like a jackhammer or something.
No, I mean, this guy, it was a story like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
He got a new penis made from like skin from his arm or something, and he inflates it by pressing a button. It goes like...
Inflated inside me.
Um,
That's my fetish.
Yeah, I think he lost his virginity with it to like a prostitute.
Oh, cool.
Who was like gave him the service for free.
And people are lining up for this?
Apparently, it's like 8 inches long.
Oh, good. And he has, I would.
He has complete control over it.
Yeah, great stamina and all that.
Yeah, I don't think he actually gets any pleasure out of it.
I'd like to see it being blown up.
I mean, it's a great party trick.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
You want to see
check
me get a
this out.
boner? I can do that without pressing a button.
I can't.
So, who's more impressive now, ladies?
Lining up. Venezuela's currency value depends largely on one guy at an Alabama Home Depot.
Oh, you're gonna have to explain this one to me.
So Venezuela's money not doing so good.
Mm-hmm.
They're having to carry it around in wheelbarrows and shit. And in Venezuela, it's illegal to for citizens to track the value of currency. It's set by the government. So
Don't tell them about Google.
Yeah, well, the official value of the currency is set by the government. So they're like, yeah, this is equal to the exchange rate of this. But this guy in Alabama who was exiled from Venezuela because he tried to overthrow Hugo Chavez, still keeps up with things. He made a website where he actually speaks to people in Venezuela and finds out how much a carton of milk costs today. He'll post all these things to actually come up with a real number.
Oh.
And the government keeps trying to block his website, but people get around it.
Good.
So he is personally controlling the actual market value of Venezuelan
You better watch
money.
out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They're gonna get you.
Gun-wielding Alabama mannequin challenge leads to 2 arrests, weapons, and drugs seized. I thought the
meme's
Video
dead.
Game Awards ended this meme.
No.
Now
Apparently-
that's really over with.
It was a pretty good mannequin challenge, but
well, yeah.
yeah, they posted it on Facebook, and then the cops were like, "That's a lot of guns.
And no trigger discipline.
Yeah,
We gotta make it look real.
we should go check that out." And
Also-
they found a lot of guns and drugs.
Imagine being the cameraman who is walking directly in front of the barrel of 50 guns with their fingers on the trigger.
They probably didn't think, that's if they had any gun sense, they wouldn't be filming this in the first place.
Yeah,
So
that's
walking directly in front of a loaded gun, that's the least of their concerns. They're
Imagine
doing
being
it for the gram.
They tripped over someone and then that person accidentally shot someone and then that person's like, man, fuck
boop,
you!
boop, boop.
And then it's just it turns into an actual war.
Yeah,
That close.
slapstick.
Moving on.
Now here's a space oddity. 6 starman Buzz Aldrin is being cared for by Dr. David Bowie.
Well, that's kind of sad because John Glenn just died, but hopefully he pulls through. Buzz Aldrin is
I think he's gonna be fine.
an
I don't know.
American hero.
I don't know what he thought he was doing going down to South America. I'm the oldest man to go to South America. There's nothing
cares?
fucking there.
What are you, David Blaine for the nursing home?
Yeah, he got
people?
sick because he's 100 years old.
Exactly.
Need to
But
get
I will
David
say,
Bowie on it.
I think I appreciate him more than the guy that punched the kangaroo because he punched a news reporter in the
Yeah,
face.
he punched a moon landing denier.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't think we landed on the moon?
Pow.
Here's something you can believe in.
Yeah.
I just kicked your ass. I'm an old man. And then the
Let my
judge,
dog go.
the guy sued him, and the judge was like, "Nah, you had it coming."
Yeah,
What are
he
you gonna
did.
do? Insult Buzz Aldrin,
He's a fucking
American hero?
Yeah.
The man walked on the moon.
I like how the judge gave Buzz Aldrin the okay for that.
Yeah.
And then the guy in Australia, Zoo, gave him the okay for that too. He's like, in both cases, they had it coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kangaroo had it coming, and that moon landing denier had it coming.
Yeah. But people need to get punched in the face more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
Just one.
yeah, just one. Just a nice kisser.
Just put a pillow down so he doesn't hit his head.
He sleep.
He sleep. World star. Indiana City on the verge of legalizing pinball. They're this close.
They wonder why their jobs are going to Mexico. You're not
Yeah.
even allowed to play pinball.
Yeah, the
think of
one thing I wanted to do after work.
think of all the pinball jobs.
Yeah.
And apparently it's they didn't even realize it was illegal. Actually, there's plenty of pinball there.
Yeah.
But the law was on the books in the 1950s because
yeah.
pinball was where all the
Hoodlums.
all the loose women and all the
Yeah.
cads used to hang
True.
out and smoke the jazz cigarettes. So
Uh-huh.
they banned it.
Well, they should bring it back because then there's a lot of manufacturing jobs because there are literally a ton of bells and whistles on those that need tinkering all the time.
Yeah. American jobs. Can't trust the Chinese to make pinball machines.
No, they'll screw it all up. They
No.
don't even use electronics and stuff in
Yeah,
it.
they'll replace it all with cheap parts. It's not gonna work.
They can't even play checkers right.
No.
Looks like a
they
star.
have their own checkers. It's a mess.
Chinese are real upset with us.
Oh no. Couple rewrites Baby It's Cold Outside to emphasize importance of consent.
The headline makes it seem like, oh, here we go again, but the video is pretty funny.
Also,
Because the
the
original
actual song is the one of the most subtly rapey songs ever.
Yeah.
It's like, guy has a girl over around Christmas time. She's like, well, time for me to go.
No,
And he's
come
like,
on.
he's like, I don't know, it's pretty snowy out there.
Yeah.
You're not leaving. Why don't you just stay here and I'll keep you warm? He's
Yeah.
like, she's like, no, I mean, like, people
I think I'm really gonna go.
People are wondering where I am. He's like, nah, stay here. Have another drink. Here, I'll pour it for you. Look over there.
Whoop.
So, yeah, it's not a bad thing.
This eggnog is spiked.
Yeah. So, I mean,
It's a pretty funny video.
you shouldn't use the weather report to plan sexual assault.
Sexual assault, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
god,
not
big
right.
blizzard coming in tonight.
Better invite some ladies in.
Well, I guess you're stuck here now.
Where are you gonna go? Oh,
Out
man.
there in the cold.
I heard that if we all take our clothes off and get really close to each other, it'll keep us warm.
Yeah. Yep. Pope Francis says fake news is like getting sexually aroused by feces. Pope Francis, ironically enough, has never been to Germany because they love that there. According to all the jokes I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that fake news is like poop.
Yeah.
The people that like fake news are like people that are attracted to poop, and the news media are the ones that spread the poop all around. Get the scent in the air.
I don't know. I don't like that comparison. I think it's more like if people thought that, like, if they didn't know any better about poop and they were like, well, I mean,
Looks like chocolate to me.
yeah. And like, it's like they don't have taste buds or something. They're like,
Yeah.
guys, you gotta try this.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
should try this shit. It's great.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, man, I don't know. That kind of looks and smells bad. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not as bad once you get it in your mouth and down your throat.
Trust me.
Yeah.
The Lion media is going to tell you this tastes like shit, but it's really
it's
chocolate.
really good. Yeah. Hey, we should get New York Times to write an article about how great shit tastes.
Yeah.
Or Breitbart.
Breitbart.
Yeah. Breitbart needs to write an article about how great shit tastes.
The only reason you don't know is because you haven't tried it.
Yeah. Why not just give it a try? Whew.
Joe Biden says he may run for president in 2020 because what the hell?
Which is the motto for pretty much anyone running
Yeah, fuck it.
anymore. Yeah. Why not?
He's a lot of people think this is a distraction strategy, and if so, it's pretty genius. They say that Joe's going to pretend to be like the front runner running for president to take all the attacks and shit, but then by the time the election comes around, they'll have another candidate ready to swoop in.
Yeah. Well, you just
Basically-
gave it all away, Elliot. Way to go.
He can be like the Hillary, the Trojan horse Hillary going in there.
Yeah, and then Bernie
then-
Sanders swoops in.
Well, no.
He'll be way too
He'll
old.
be, I don't know. I mean, the emperor is like 150 years old. So,
You never know.
Yeah.
You never can.
Just needs that electricity.
There's not going to be an election in 4 years. What are we talking about?
We're gonna cancel it.
Yeah, we're canceling the election.
Ah.
That's an outdated system. Chimpanzees recognize buttocks like humans recognize faces. That ass, though.
Yeah, that's why they're always.
I'm a
like,
real ass man.
Who's that over there?
I don't know.
Oh, that's her.
Yeah, that ass.
Yeah. I wish you would turn around so I could see her face.
Yeah. Woo!
Look at the face on that one. Grinch flicks cigarette on parade float, setting it on fire on the way to Huntsville Christmas parade.
This is the same guy that lit that goat on fire?
Probably.
He's getting around this year.
It's not an actual Grinch. I was hoping it was an actual.
Oh,
Grinch.
I thought it was like a guy
I
dressed
know.
up like that.
No, they're just saying like, oh, he's like a real Grinch
Oh
for
man,
doing
that makes it so fucking lame.
Yeah.
I really thought it was a guy in a Grinch costume.
But someone should dress up like a Grinch.
And
It
go
could be
around
our
causing-
Krampus.
Yeah.
So just dress up
I
like a
don't
Grinch
know.
and just flick cigarettes at people.
Go full Krampus, but the Grinch is needed too.
Yeah.
They still go to Grinchmas over there at the theme parks?
Which theme parks?
I think it's a Universal or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Everybody needs a Grinch.
Yeah.
Russian ministers of parliament accuse FIFA 17 video game of gay propaganda. Why?
Because sports are gay. No, it's because
Only hunting is straight.
in like
And
the
climbing really, really tall radio towers.
in the Premier League, I think is the one. They had like laces this past year, like rainbow laces that were in support of like inclusion of gay people in like major sporting. So in the FIFA game, one of the lace options for your players is rainbow laces. That's it. That's literally it. A fucking rainbow on shoelaces. Gay propaganda.
Yeah. Well, I patiently await the drunk on vodka climbing a tall radio tower video game that Russia is no doubt working on right now.
Yeah, that
Radio
stuff's
tower
fun.
climbing simulator.
Yeah. Jumping off because there's 6 feet of snow down there. It's the perfect cushion.
Yeah.
Or swinging
Yeah.
between two buildings.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good thing they're now our closest ally.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Fun
learning.
times.
Anyways, that's all we have for you this week. Go watch our other videos. We did an episode about the future of shopping, and it has something to do with Amazon. Surprise, surprise. And we also did a brand new Donald Trump recap, which is, it's becoming, we need to do it like bi-weekly or tri-weekly at this point because there's just too much
Too
to talk
fast.
about. Also, check out this amazing fan art.
Lovely.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.